At Thanksgiving dinner, my fiancée lifted a champagne glass and thanked the two people who taught me that sometimes the family you choose matters more than the family you're born into. The elegant couple sitting beside her smiled proudly. My mother smiled too. My brother raised his glass. 22 relatives were listening. And 10 feet behind my fiancée, standing frozen in the doorway with a homemade pecan pie trembling in her hands, was her real mother. Lauren saw her. The champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered against my mother's hardwood floor. Nobody moved. The man Lauren had just introduced as her father slowly turned toward the doorway. Her real father stood there too, wearing an old Navy blazer and looking like somebody had punched the air out of him. Lauren had told me for almost 2 years that those people were abusive, controlling, dangerous, and permanently out of her life. She had told my family they had disowned her. She had told her coworkers they were dead. She had told the wealthy couple beside her that she had grown up without parents worth remembering. But the truth was much simpler and much uglier. Frank and Donna Miller had paid for their daughter's college, slept in motel rooms so she could have the dorm experience they could barely afford, driven 5 hours to every graduation ceremony, saved every birthday card she ever made them, and kept her childhood bedroom exactly as she had left it. Lauren cut them off because they refused to empty their retirement account to give her $60,000 for the wedding she thought she deserved. Then she changed the story because saying, "My parents are ordinary working-class people and I'm embarrassed by them," sounded worse than saying, "My parents were toxic." I did not find all of that out at Thanksgiving. I found it out 3 weeks earlier. Thanksgiving was just the night the lie finally ran out of rooms to hide in. My name is Ethan Cole. I was 36 years old when this happened, and at the time I lived outside Raleigh, North Carolina, where my brother and I ran a residential renovation company. Our father started nearly 30 years earlier. We were not rich in the private jet sense. We were comfortable in the way people become comfortable after decades of getting up early, paying attention, and not spending every good year as though bad years had been outlawed. Cole Brothers Renovation handled kitchens, additions, historic home restoration, and the occasional custom build around Wake County. My father, Thomas Cole, had started with one pickup truck, a circular saw, and a business card my mother printed at the public library. By the time he died from pancreatic cancer when I was 31, the company employed 23 people. My older brother Ryan and I took over together. Dad had spent his whole life repeating the same sentence whenever one of us started getting impressed with ourselves. A nice truck doesn't make you a better man than the guy unloading it. That was our family. Not perfect, loud, sometimes annoying, but grounded. Sunday dinner at Mom's house was almost mandatory. Not officially, Mom would never admit to being controlling. She simply made enough food for 12 people and then called anyone who had not arrived by 6:15 to ask whether they were dead. My mother, Kathleen Cole, was 64, widowed, Irish Catholic, 5 feet 4 inches tall, and somehow capable of making grown contractors apologize for swearing in her kitchen. My brother Ryan was 40, married to Melissa, with 2 kids, Grace and Owen. My father's younger brother, Uncle Patrick, lived 20 minutes away and appeared without warning whenever he smelled food or conflict. Our family did not have the cultural grandeur of some people's traditions. We had casseroles, football, folding chairs, handwritten birthday cards, people borrowing tools and never returning them, and the belief that if somebody you love is moving, you show up even if they tell you they have enough help. I met Lauren Pierce at a hospital foundation fundraiser in downtown Raleigh. Pierce was not actually her legal last name. I did not know that then. She was 33, a brand strategy director for a national healthcare company, and the first thing I noticed was not how beautiful she was, although she was. It was that she was listening when people talked. Real listening, eye contact, follow-up questions. She made people feel interesting. At that fundraiser, Mom had been cornered by a surgeon who wanted to discuss a renovation his wife was planning. Lauren walked over, rescued her, and somehow ended up talking with Mom for 20 minutes about pie crust. My mother liked her instantly. That is difficult to overstate. Kathleen Cole considered most people suspicious until they had eaten at least 2 meals in her house. Lauren bypassed the probationary period. On the drive home, Mom said, "That girl has manners." In my mother's world, that was practically a blessing from the Vatican. Lauren and I started dating. It became serious quickly, but not recklessly. We were both in our 30s. We had careers, failed relationships, patterns we thought we understood. She was polished without seeming fake, ambitious without being cruel, funny without needing to perform. She remembered details. My niece Grace had a dance recital. Lauren sent flowers. Ryan mentioned a bourbon he could never find. Lauren found a bottle for his birthday. Mom talked about Dad's old garden bench rotting. Lauren asked me whether we could restore it as a Mother's Day gift. It felt like she understood what mattered to me. That is why I believed her when she told me about her family. We were 6 weeks into dating, sitting on my back patio on a cool October night. I had just asked whether her parents lived nearby, because Thanksgiving plans were beginning and Mom wanted to know who we should invite. Lauren became quiet, not theatrically. She looked down at her wine glass. I don't really have parents anymore. I assumed they had died. I'm sorry. They're alive. I waited. We don't have a relationship. She told me her father had been controlling, her mother critical, that everything she did growing up was judged. Grades, clothes, friends, weight, college, career. She said they had never forgiven her for moving away from her hometown after college. Said they used money to control her. Said her father would call screaming if she went 2 weeks without visiting. Said her mother treated guilt like a competitive sport. Eventually, Lauren said, therapy helped her understand she needed distance. I tried boundaries. They ignored them. So I stopped contact. I remember saying, "You don't need to justify it to me." She started crying. Quietly, "Thank you." I hugged her. And that was it. I never demanded evidence, because love is not supposed to operate like a background investigation. Over the next year, I saw moments that seemed to support her story. A birthday card arrived once with a return address from Hickory, North Carolina. She threw it away unopened. My mother. I asked whether she was sure she did not want to read it. Absolutely. Another time, an unfamiliar number called 3 times. Lauren silenced it. Dad. Her hands shook afterward. I held her. Looking back, I understand something now that I did not then. People can feel real emotion while lying about why they feel it. Lauren was upset by those calls. She did carry pain. The fact that the story around the pain was false did not make every tear fake. That complexity kept me confused longer than I should have been. My family accepted her explanation carefully. Mom asked once whether she had siblings. No. Uncle Patrick asked the first Christmas why no one from her side would be coming. Lauren said, "It's better this way." Patrick later told me privately, "I don't like family mysteries." I told him it was not his business. He apologized. Mostly. Still don't like them, he added. Lauren became part of our life. Sunday dinners. Beach weekends. Christmas morning. Ryan's daughter started calling her Aunt Lauren before we were even engaged. Mom taught her the Cole family stuffing recipe, which was not actually a secret, but which Mom treated like classified information. Lauren began posting pictures with us. Sunday with my favorite people. Found family. The people who showed me what home feels like. We thought those captions were sweet. Now I understand some of them differently. At the time, they felt like healing. I proposed 14 months after we met. Nothing enormous. I booked the small botanical garden where we had our third date, told Lauren we were attending a fundraising reception, then proposed under the lights after closing. She cried before I finished, said yes 4 times. Mom cried when we called. Ryan yelled loud enough through the phone that Lauren pulled it away from her ear. Uncle Patrick texted, "About time," which was ironic because we had been together barely more than a year. Lauren wanted a wedding the following October. Large, elegant, black tie optional, 200 guests. She had spent years working in branding, events, and corporate hospitality, so I assumed planning would be smooth. It was not. Weddings bring people's hidden beliefs about family, money, status, and control into one brightly lit room. Lauren wanted a historic estate outside Chapel Hill that charged nearly $28,000 before food. I thought that was ridiculous. She thought it was the one thing we shouldn't compromise. We could afford it technically, but I did not enjoy spending money simply because vendors had discovered the word wedding could double prices. Mom offered her backyard for the rehearsal dinner. Lauren smiled, thanked her, then told me later it might feel too casual for her coworkers and senior executives. It's a rehearsal dinner. I know. They're eating. Ethan. That tone. Not angry. Slightly embarrassed. My world is different from yours. I heard it. I did not understand it yet. What does that mean? Nothing bad. Your family is warm and informal. Mine... She stopped because her family supposedly did not exist in her life. My professional circle is more formal. I laughed. Ryan ate corn on the cob at his wedding rehearsal. Exactly, she smiled. I thought it was teasing. Maybe part of her meant it that way. The budget grew. Florals, band, custom invitations, welcome bags, transportation. Lauren wanted a videographer with a documentary package that cost more than my first used truck. We argued mildly, compromised. I paid for more than half because I earned more. She paid part. Mom offered $10,000 as a gift from money Dad had put aside for my eventual wedding. I almost refused. Mom said, "Your father saved it for this. Don't steal his fun because he's dead." That was Mom. Lauren cried when Mom gave us the check, hugged her, posted a picture saying, "Some mothers are chosen." Kathleen loved it. But one question became more uncomfortable as the wedding got closer. Who was sitting on Lauren's side? She said she had friends, coworkers, mentors. Her boss, Charles Wainwright, and his wife Meredith, had basically become family. Charles was in his late 50s, a regional executive at Lauren's company. Meredith served on several nonprofit boards. They lived in a large house in North Hills, traveled constantly, and seemed genuinely fond of Lauren. I had met them twice. They were sophisticated but kind. Charles called Lauren kiddo. Meredith had helped her choose a graduate program years earlier. Lauren told me they had supported her after she cut contact with her parents. They saw what I was going through. She asked whether Charles could walk her partway down the aisle. Partway? I'll walk most of it alone, but I want somebody representing the people who chose me. I said yes. Why would I not? Then came the paperwork that changed everything. We were getting married in a Catholic church because it mattered to Mom, and, surprisingly, Lauren said she liked the symbolism. The church coordinator needed legal names, birth information, baptism records if applicable, and documents for the marriage preparation file. Lauren filled most of it electronically. A week later, the coordinator emailed both of us because one form did not match the identification Lauren had submitted. The email said, "Please confirm whether the bride's legal surname is Miller or Pierce." I read it twice. Lauren was in Chicago for work. I texted, "Church says your legal last name is Miller?" She did not answer for 3 hours. Then, "Yeah, Pierce is my middle name. Long story, I use it professionally because of my family. Forgot the license would show Miller." That should not have bothered me. People use different names professionally, yet something about the way she said forgot felt strange. I typed, "What's the long story?" She replied, "Same story. Didn't want my dad finding me easily when I moved." I believed her, mostly. The first real crack arrived 2 days later, when I was looking through old boxes at Mom's house for Dad's cufflinks. Mom wanted me to wear them at the wedding. I found a folder of printed engagement plans Lauren had given Mom, including a guest list draft. Beside Charles and Meredith Wainwright, Lauren had written "parents of bride" in a note for seating. Not honorary parents, not mentors, parents. I asked her about it that night. She laughed. "That's just for the planner. Easier than explaining everything." "Will the program say parents?" "Maybe." "Lauren," she became defensive. "Why does it matter?" "Because they're not your parents. They're more my parents than the people who raised me." "Okay, but words still mean things. Ethan, please don't suddenly become obsessed with biology." That ended the conversation because I did not want to sound insensitive. A week later, Mom showed me a wedding website preview Lauren had built. Under "Our Families," my parents were described properly. Ethan is the son of Kathleen Cole and the late Thomas Cole. Lauren's section said, "Lauren is lovingly supported by Charles and Meredith Wainwright, the family who helped shape the woman she is today." No mention of her parents. That was consistent with estrangement. Then I noticed an old college graduation photograph in a slideshow Lauren had uploaded temporarily while testing layouts. She was 22, wearing a cap and gown, standing between a man and woman who looked nothing like the monsters I had created in my imagination. Ordinary people. The man wore a suit that fit slightly too large. The woman had her arm around Lauren's waist and tears on her face. They looked proud. Not proof of anything. Abusive families take smiling photos too. I know that. But curiosity arrived. I did not investigate immediately. I asked Lauren whether she had any photographs from childhood she wanted included. No. Not even college? She looked at me too quickly. Why? Just thought guests might like old pictures. I don't want them. Okay. She stared. Did mom show you something? Wedding website draft. Her expression relaxed. Oh. Then she deleted the graduation photograph that night. My unease grew. I talked to Ryan. Not because he was wiser than me, but because brothers are sometimes useful when you need someone to tell you whether you are losing perspective. Maybe she just hates looking at that period, he said. Could be. You trust her? Yes, he shrugged. Then ask instead of snooping. Good advice. I plan to. Then something happened that made asking harder. Lauren's mother called me. I did not know it was her. Unknown Hickory number at 8:37 on a Thursday night. I answered because contractors call from random numbers constantly. Is this Ethan? Woman's voice. Older. Nervous. Yes. Long pause. My name is Donna Miller. I'm Lauren's mother. My entire body tightened. How did you get my number? Your company website. Obvious once she said it. Does Lauren know you're calling? No. Then I don't think this is appropriate. She immediately said, I understand. No argument. I'm sorry, I won't call again. I just wanted to know one thing. I waited. Is she getting married? My stomach dropped. Why are you asking me? Donna started crying. Because someone from our church saw something online. Lauren blocked us. We don't know anything. Everything I believed told me to end the call. Boundary violation, manipulation, exactly the sort of behavior Lauren had warned me about. Mrs. Miller, I'm not comfortable discussing Lauren without her permission. I know. She inhaled shakily. I'm sorry. Please just tell her we love her, that's all. Don't tell her I called if it'll upset her. I shouldn't have. Then she hung up. I stood in my kitchen holding the phone. There are calls that sound manipulative. This sounded ashamed. Could still have been manipulation. I told myself that. Then why hide a wedding from parents you claimed already knew you were engaged? That night, Lauren returned late from dinner with coworkers. I almost told her about Donna. I did not. I asked, do your parents know we're getting married? She took off her earrings. Probably. Probably. People talk. Have you told them? No. Why not? Because I'm no contact. Your mom has never reached out? She stared. Why are we discussing this again? I'm trying to understand. Nothing changed. You said they tried crossing boundaries. They did. Cards, calls, guilt. What kind of guilt? She became angry. Ethan, do you need a transcript of every bad thing that happened before you're willing to trust me? I backed off. No. Then trust me. I apologized. 2 days later, Donna's call was still bothering me. I did something I am not entirely proud of, although I understand why I did it. I searched Lauren Miller, Hickory, North Carolina, not private databases, not investigators, public internet. An old local newspaper graduation article, university honors. A high school yearbook page, a Facebook account abandoned years earlier, Frank and Donna Miller. Same parents from the photo. Frank had worked 34 years as a maintenance mechanic for the Catawba County school system. Donna had been a pharmacy technician at a grocery store pharmacy. Their social media was painfully ordinary. Garden photos, church bake sales, Frank standing beside a used fishing boat, Donna posting happy birthday to our girl. Every May, even after Lauren stopped responding. One post from 3 years earlier, a photograph of a birthday cake with candles. Caption, we love you wherever you are. No tags. Comments from friends saying, praying for reconciliation. Again, none of this proved they had not harmed her. Abusers can appear normal publicly. I knew that. I decided there was only one ethical thing left. Ask Lauren directly and accept the answer, or admit I did not trust her enough to marry her. Before I could, Charles Wainwright accidentally changed everything. He and Meredith invited us to dinner at their house. During dessert, Meredith brought out an old photo album from a corporate retreat. One photograph showed Lauren at 27 standing between them. Meredith said, "This was right after we first met our adopted daughter." Lauren smiled. Charles laughed. "She basically appeared in our lives without family." Meredith turned to me. "I still remember when she told us both. Her parents had passed. My heart broke. I stopped breathing for half a second. Lauren's fork touched the plate with a tiny sound. She looked at Meredith, then at me. Meredith kept talking. To build everything she did with no family support. I could feel Lauren beside me becoming completely still. I said nothing. Not because I was calm, because my father taught me something I'd almost forgotten. When a room contains a contradiction, do not rescue the person who created it. Let them explain. Lauren changed the subject, smoothly. Incredible skill. Nobody seemed to notice except me. In the car home, I waited until we were parked. You told them your parents died. Lauren closed her eyes. It was complicated. They're alive. I know. What part is complicated? I met Charles and Meredith during the worst period of my life. I didn't want to explain estrangement to people at work. So you said dead. Emotionally, they were. I actually laughed once. Those are very different sentences. I know. Did you ever correct it? No. Why? Because by the time it mattered, correcting it would have been humiliating. There it was, humiliating. For you, obviously. So you let two people think you lost your parents. Ethan, they are not stupid. It was shorthand. Meredith literally said she cried because you had no parents. Lauren became angry. Why are you suddenly cross-examining me? Because we're getting married. Exactly. You're marrying me, not my biography. That sentence stayed with me. I slept badly. The next morning I called Donna. Mrs. Miller? Ethan? She sounded terrified. I'm sorry I called you. I'd like to meet you and your husband. Silence. Why? Because before I marry your daughter, I need to hear the story I haven't heard. Does Lauren know? No. Will this hurt her? That question mattered. Probably, Donna whispered. I don't want to hurt her. Neither do I. Then why? Because she told people you're dead. Long silence. Donna began crying. Oh. That one sound changed me. We met at a diner outside Hickory rather than their house because I wanted neutral ground. I drove 2.5 hours Saturday morning. Frank arrived in work boots even though he had retired. Donna brought a folder she never opened until I asked. They did not tell a story of perfect parenting. Frank admitted he had been strict, too strict sometimes. Donna admitted she criticized Lauren's spending after college. They argued about visits. Frank disliked one boyfriend and said so too bluntly. Donna admitted she called too much when Lauren first moved to Raleigh. I was scared. She was our only child. I asked about money. They looked at each other. Frank's face changed. That's what this is about. Tell me, when Lauren got engaged to a previous boyfriend at 28, that engagement ended quickly. Afterwards, she told her parents she would never have the wedding she wanted because they had not saved enough. Frank and Donna had saved $15,000 for her eventual wedding, which was enormous for them. Years later, after getting engaged to me, Lauren called. First conversation in nearly a year. She asked for $60,000. For this wedding? I asked. Donna nodded. She said your family was successful, and she could not be the bride whose parents looked cheap. I felt sick. Frank had a pension. Donna had a small retirement account. Their house was paid off, but they were not wealthy. What did you say? We offered the 15, Frank said, plus maybe another 5 if we move some things around. She said. Donna wiped tears. If you can't invest in my future, don't expect to be part of it. She blocked them that night. They continued mailing cards. Most returned. Some did not. Donna showed me unopened envelopes. Christmas, birthday, a letter after learning through someone else that Lauren had changed jobs. Another after seeing my proposal, photographed through a mutual acquaintance. We didn't know who you were, Frank said. We knew she looked happy. Why didn't you contact her through me sooner? Because she made it clear. Then why did Donna call? Frank looked toward her. Donna whispered, I thought maybe a wedding changes things. She started crying. I thought maybe she'd want her dad there. Frank looked down. I asked the hardest question. Did you abuse her? Frank looked straight at me. No. Donna did too. No. Control her money? No. Threaten her? No. Track her? No. Tell her she could not move? We hated it, Donna admitted. We still helped pack the car. Did you ever use money to force visits? Frank laughed sadly. We didn't have enough money to force anybody to do anything. I believed them, not because of photographs, not because they were modest people, because their account included fault. Liars often make themselves innocent. Frank told me he had once shouted at Lauren so badly after she maxed a credit card that Donna made him apologize the next morning. Donna admitted she criticized Lauren's clothing and weight in high school. I thought I was helping. I wasn't. They described arguments, regrets, mistakes. What they did not describe was the systematic cruelty Lauren had described to me. Then I asked, "Why do you think she tells people you were abusive?" Donna stared at her hands. Frank answered, "Because saying we were poor embarrassed her more." The sentence hit like a door slamming. He corrected himself. "Not poor. We weren't poor, but not what she wanted people to think." Donna said, "After college, she started correcting how we dressed when we visited. She asked Frank not to wear his union jacket. She took me shopping before a work event because my shoes were too suburban. She told people her father worked in facilities management, not school maintenance." Frank smiled bitterly. "Sounded fancier." Then she stopped inviting us. I asked about Charles and Meredith. They knew nothing. "She has replacement parents," Donna whispered. I went home with no desire for revenge, just grief. That is important. I had been in love with Lauren for almost 2 years. Her laugh still lived in my head. Her toothbrush was beside mine. We had chosen linens. Deposits. A honeymoon. Mom had altered my grandmother's veil for her. Real betrayal rarely feels satisfying when discovered. It feels like somebody has vandalized your own memories. You start examining every good moment for fingerprints. I did not confront Lauren immediately. I needed certainty about what I was ending and why. That week, I paid attention to how she talked about my family. Not because I had not heard it before, because I was finally translating correctly. Mom's house was cozy when Lauren spoke to my family and dated when she spoke to coworkers. Uncle Patrick was hilarious at Sunday dinner and a lot when Lauren described him to Meredith. Ryan's company truck was charmingly blue-collar in Instagram pictures, but when I suggested using Cole Brothers vehicles for wedding transportation between hotels, Lauren said, "I don't want work trucks visible in wedding photos." She asked whether Mom might wear something less churchy to the rehearsal dinner. She wanted our guest list reduced mostly by removing older relatives and longtime family friends because we already have enough local color. Local color, that phrase sat in my chest. I asked, "What does that mean?" "You know, people who aren't really part of our current life. They're part of mine." "I know, but weddings should reflect who we are now." Who we are now. I began understanding that Lauren's real obsession was not money alone. It was curation. She did not want a life. She wanted a coherent image of a life. People were welcome when they fit the frame. That included me because I owned a successful business, dressed well enough, lived in the right zip code, and came from a family that could be reframed as charmingly traditional. Her own parents could not. The cruelty was not simply that she lied about them. It was that she had ranked human beings by how useful they were to the story she wanted others to believe. Then Thanksgiving planning began. Mom hosted every year. Lauren initially wanted us to skip it because we were busy with wedding work. I said no. Mom had been widowed 5 years. Thanksgiving mattered. Lauren agreed, but said she wanted Charles and Meredith invited because they're my family too. Mom immediately said yes. Nobody should eat Thanksgiving alone. I asked Lauren, "Are you going to introduce them as your parents?" "They know. Everyone already knows them that way." "That isn't what I asked." She stared. "Why are you being weird about this?" "Because your parents are alive." She went completely still. "You talk to them?" Not a question. "Yes." Her face changed so quickly that I saw the person beneath every polished response. Rage first, then fear, then calculation. "You violated me." "I met them." "You had no right." "You told me they abused you." "They did. They told me about the money." "Of course they did. $60,000. "You don't understand." "Then explain." She stood from the sofa. "My whole childhood was being told we couldn't afford things while they had savings. Everything was sacrifice. Everything was guilt. I worked my ass off to get out of that small town and become something. They paid for your college. Because parents are supposed to. They offered $15,000 for the wedding. That barely covers flowers." I stared at her. She realized what she had said. "That's not what I mean." "I think it is. Ethan, your mother handed us $10,000 without blinking." "My father saved it specifically for my wedding." "Exactly. Your family planned. Your parents planned too. 15,000 is not planning." I felt love dying in real time, not exploding, quietly suffocating. "You told Charles and Meredith your parents were dead." "Because I was ashamed." Finally, truth. "Of them?" She looked away. Of everything. Frank being a school mechanic? Do not make it sound ugly. I'm repeating it. You don't understand the circles I work in. No, I said it slowly. I think I finally do. She cried. I hated seeing it. I love you. I know. I was scared you would see them and see me differently. Lauren, I see you differently because of what you did to them. They made me feel small my whole life. By not being wealthy? That's cruel. Is it wrong? She would not answer. Did they abuse you? Emotional abuse is complicated. Did you lie about what happened? Silence. Lauren. I exaggerated some things. My stomach dropped even though I knew. How much? She sobbed. I needed you to understand why I couldn't have them in our life. Why couldn't you? Because your family would judge me. I almost laughed. My mother wears Twenty-moi, ratty-year-old shoes to church because she says they're broken in. Uncle Patrick steals restaurant sugar packets. Ryan thinks Costco is a personality. What exactly did you think we were going to judge? You're established. So are your parents. Not like you. There it was. I sat down because suddenly I was exhausted. You have spent 2 years telling me you escaped cruelty when what you escaped was embarrassment. That's not fair. You cut your mother off over wedding money. It wasn't just money. What else? Everything they represent. I looked at her. She knew. Say it. I don't want to. Then I will. They remind you you weren't born into the life you perform now. She started crying harder. I worked for everything I have. Nobody said you didn't. People treat you differently when you come from nothing. Your parents did not give you nothing. You know what I mean? I do. That's the problem. We talked for 3 hours. She apologized. Then defended, then apologized again. Said she would tell Charles and Meredith eventually. Asked me not to tell my family. Asked me to cancel Thanksgiving. Asked me to give her time. I said I needed space. She asked whether the wedding was still on. I could not answer. That terrified both of us. I stayed with Ryan that night. Melissa put clean sheets on the guest bed without asking questions. Ryan sat beside me on the back porch. Do you still love her? Yes. That sucks. Helpful. You want me to say something profound? No. Good, because I don't have it. He handed me a beer. Can you marry her? I stared at the yard. I don't know. Different question. Could you trust her around our kids if one of them became embarrassing someday? That question ended my indecision. Grace was 12, Owen 9. Imagine Lauren loving them while they were cute, then deciding later that a job, addiction, divorce, disability, or bad decision made them inconvenient to the family image. I could not unknow what she had done to Frank and Donna. No, I said. Ryan nodded. Then you know. I decided to end the engagement privately. No spectacle, no trap. That was my intention. Thanksgiving changed the timing. Lauren begged me not to end things before the holiday because Charles and Meredith had already arranged travel and Mom had planned around everyone. Let me tell them first. When? After Thanksgiving. Why after? Because I don't want everybody's holiday destroyed. I almost laughed at the irony. Will you tell my family before Thanksgiving? No. Your parents? Please, Ethan. She said she needed one normal holiday before everything fell apart. I agreed to wait 5 days. That was probably a mistake. Then Donna called Mom. I still do not know exactly how she got Mom's number. Probably the company website and family Facebook trail, Kathleen answered. By the time I arrived at her house Sunday evening, Mom knew everything. She was not furious in the explosive way I expected. She was heartbroken. That woman sat at this table and told me she had nobody. I know. Her mother is crying on the phone asking whether you're really getting married. I know. Does Lauren know Donna called? No. Mom looked at me. Are you marrying her? No. Mom closed her eyes. Okay. Then she said, her parents are coming Thanksgiving. I stared. What? I invited them. Mom, they have eaten Thanksgiving alone for 2 years because their only child erased them. You cannot ambush Lauren. I'm not ambushing anyone. Donna asked whether she should stay away if Lauren would be upset. I told her this is my house and I'm inviting 2 people who need dinner. Mom, Ethan, there was no winning when she used my name like that. Charles and Meredith are coming. Good. That is exactly why this could become a disaster. Then perhaps everybody should meet the people they've been pretending to be. I hated that part of me agreed. I don't want to humiliate Lauren, Mom softened. Neither do I. Then why? Because Frank and Donna deserve one room where they are not hidden. That sentence mattered. I called Frank and Donna myself. You understand Lauren doesn't know? Donna said, we can stay home. Do you want to? Long silence. No. Then come. We don't want to ruin your family's Thanksgiving. My family has survived Uncle Patrick carving a turkey while drunk. We'll survive truth. Frank laughed for the first time around me, then became serious. Ethan, we don't want revenge. Neither do I. If she wants us to leave, we leave. Agreed. Thanksgiving morning was cold and bright. Mom started cooking at 6. I arrived at 9. Ryan at 9:30. Uncle Patrick at 10 despite being told noon. Lauren arrived at 11 carrying 2 expensive floral arrangements in a bakery box. She looked exhausted. Beautiful, but exhausted. We had barely spoken since our long conversation. She kissed Mom's cheek. Kathleen accepted it but did not fake warmth. Lauren noticed. Is everything okay? Busy day. Charles and Meredith arrived at 12:30 with wine. They hugged Lauren. Meredith hugged Mom. Thank you for including us. Mom said, nobody should be alone today. The sentence had layers Meredith could not hear yet. Lauren introduced them to a few distant relatives as basically my parents. Each time I felt something inside me tighten. We ate appetizers. Football played. Kids ran through the house. For 90 minutes, Thanksgiving looked normal. Then at 2:05, the doorbell rang. I was standing near the hallway. Lauren was in the living room laughing with Meredith. Mom looked at me from the kitchen. Nobody moved. I opened the door. Frank stood on the porch in khakis, a blue button-down shirt, and a sport coat that looked carefully brushed. Donna wore a burgundy sweater dress and held a pecan pie in a glass dish with both hands. Her face was pale. Hi, I said. Donna whispered, are you sure? No. That made her smile nervously. But come in. I took Frank's coat. Donna would not let me take the pie. I need something to hold. Fair. They stepped into the foyer. Mom came around the corner first. Donna? Donna nodded. My mother hugged her. Not dramatic. Gentle. Donna started crying anyway. Thank you for inviting us. Of course. Frank shook Mom's hand, then Ryan's. Uncle Patrick approached, looked at me, clearly recognized from my warning that these were Lauren's parents, and for once in his life kept his mouth shut. Miracles happen. Then Lauren walked into the hallway. She stopped. The room did not go silent all at once, because half the house had not noticed yet. The silence spread outward as people followed her gaze. Lauren's face changed. Mom? Donna's hands tightened around the pie. Hi, honey. What are you doing here? Frank said, we were invited. Lauren looked at me. Pure betrayal. You did this. Mom invited them. You let her. Yes. Charles stood behind Lauren. Meredith beside him. Confusion appeared on both faces. Donna looked past Lauren toward them. Hello. Meredith's expression shifted. She looked at Lauren. Who are they? Nobody answered. Frank looked at Charles. I'm Frank Miller, Lauren's father. Charles became completely still. Meredith whispered, What? Lauren said, Can we not do this? Mom stepped forward. We don't have to do anything. Frank and Donna are guests. Everybody can sit down. Mom, I said. No. Lauren looked at Donna. You need to leave. That was the moment everything changed from complicated to clear. Donna flinched as though struck. Frank said softly, If you want us to go, we'll go. I looked at Lauren. They're staying. Ethan. My mother invited them. This is between me and them. Meredith finally spoke. Lauren, you told us your parents were dead. There it was. The whole room stopped. Even the kids sensed it. Ryan quietly sent Grace and Owen upstairs with their cousins. Lauren turned toward Meredith. I can explain. Charles's voice was calm. Please do. Not here. You told me your father died when you were 24. Emotionally, Meredith actually stepped backward. No. Lauren stopped. Meredith's eyes filled. You told me you spent Father's Day alone because your father was dead. Frank looked toward the floor. I will never forget his face. The man was alive and standing 12 feet away, hearing his daughter explain how she had buried him socially because the truth was inconvenient. Charles looked at Frank. I'm sorry. Frank shook his head. You didn't know. Donna still held the pie. Mom gently took it from her before she dropped it. Lauren's hands shook. I panicked years ago. The story got bigger. Years? Meredith said. You have let us believe this for years? I was ashamed, Donna whispered. Of us? Lauren closed her eyes. Mom. Of us? It's not that simple, Frank said quietly. It probably is. Lauren looked at me. You told everyone. No. Your family knows. Mom knows. Ryan knows enough. You humiliated me. There it was. I felt sadness more than anger. Lauren, your parents walked into a room and existed. If that humiliates you, they are not the problem. She started crying. You have no idea what my childhood felt like. Donna nodded. You're right. Everyone looked at her. We made mistakes. Lauren stared. Donna continued, voice shaking. I criticized you too much. Your dad yelled when he was scared. We pushed you to come home more than we should have. I've apologized for that. I'll apologize again. Frank nodded. Me too. But we did not abuse you, Donna said. We love you badly sometimes. That is not the same as what you told people. Lauren sobbed. You always made me feel like I was too much. Because we could not afford what you wanted? Frank asked. Lauren looked at him. You made everything about money. Frank laughed painfully. You asked us for $60,000? Charles turned sharply toward Lauren. For this wedding? Lauren's face went white. He looked at me. Did you know? I learned recently. Meredith whispered. You told us they refused to contribute anything. Donna's face collapsed. We offered $15,000? Meredith repeated. Donna nodded. It was all we could responsibly give. Meredith stared at Lauren like she no longer recognized her. My God. Lauren became angry then because shame often searches for a way to become anger. Everyone needs to stop acting like money had nothing to do with how they treated me. I grew up hearing no constantly. No vacations, no designer clothes, no spring break, no apartment in college. I had to watch everyone around me have things. Frank said, we paid your tuition. That was your job, Lauren shouted. The room recoiled. She heard it too late. Donna closed her eyes. Frank's jaw tightened. Okay. One word. Quiet. Lauren looked around desperately. You all grew up with money. She pointed toward me. Ethan has no idea what it feels like to enter a room and know your parents would look wrong there. That was the sentence. The true one. My mother's face changed. Uncle Patrick muttered something under his breath that Ryan stopped with a hand on his arm. I asked, Look wrong? Lauren cried. That sounds horrible. Yes. That's not what I mean. Then what? I worked so hard to become someone different. Different from whom? She looked at Frank's old blazer, Donna's modest dress, their hands, their age, their ordinariness. She could not say it. She did not have to. Frank said it for her. Different from us. Lauren collapsed into a chair. Donna began crying silently. Charles removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes. Meredith looked furious now, not with Frank and Donna. Lauren, you used us. No. You used our last name, our reputation, our house, our friendship. You are my family. Meredith's face broke. I thought I was. That was worse than anger. Lauren reached for her. Meredith stepped back. Don't. My mother looked at me. I knew what had to happen. Not a toast. Not a public punishment. Just truth. Lauren. She looked up. The wedding is off. The room became completely still again. No. Yes. Ethan, don't do this here. I wasn't planning to. Then don't. I already decided before today. She stared. What? This isn't because your parents walked through the door. It's because of what I learned before they did. You said you needed time. I used the time. We can fix this. Maybe you can fix some relationships, but I can't marry you. Because I lied? Because of what the lie protects. She shook her head. I don't understand. You decide people's value by what they do for your image. That's not true. Your parents loved you until they stopped matching the person you wanted to be. Charles and Meredith mattered because their lives made your story look better. My family mattered because we were warm enough to heal you and established enough not to embarrass you. What happens someday if Ryan's business fails? If mom gets dementia? If I lose the company? If our child struggles in a way that doesn't photograph well? Do we become people you rewrite too? She stared at me. I would never. I believe you believe that. Ethan, but Frank and Donna probably believed it too when you were little. She sobbed. I wanted to hold her. That was the hardest part. I still loved her. My body still recognized her pain and wanted to move toward it. Boundaries sometimes require refusing your own oldest instincts. I love you, I said. Then don't leave. Love is not enough for marriage. That's a cliche. Maybe because people keep learning it. She covered her face. I looked at everyone else. This is not Thanksgiving entertainment. Dinner is still happening. Anyone who wants to leave can. Mom said. Nobody has to perform normal. Frank immediately said, we should go. Donna nodded. I stopped them. Only if you want to. Frank looked toward Lauren. She would not look at him. Maybe we should, Mom said. Take food. Donna actually laughed through tears. I brought pie. Then you're definitely taking food. That tiny moment saved the room from becoming entirely unbearable. Charles and Meredith left quietly after speaking with Frank and Donna in the foyer. I overheard Charles say, I am deeply sorry. We believe what we were told. Frank answered, that's not your fault. Meredith hugged Donna. Donna cried into her shoulder. Two women, who had both been used differently by the same person, found compassion for each other. Lauren went upstairs to the guest room and stayed there for almost an hour. Nobody followed except me eventually, because she was still my fiancée for another few minutes, in practical terms, and I did not want her driving while distraught. She sat on the edge of the bed with her engagement ring already removed. It was on the nightstand. Did you enjoy that? She asked. The question hurt. No, your mother did. She didn't. She invited them. Because your mother called her crying. Lauren looked away. Donna is good at crying. Stop. You don't know her. And you do not get to reduce every feeling that contradicts you to manipulation, she cried. You've chosen them. No. Yes, you have. I am choosing myself. She looked at me. What does that mean? It means I cannot spend our marriage investigating whether the story you're telling about someone is true. Her face crumpled. I lied because I was ashamed. I know. Not because I didn't love you. I know. I wanted you to think I belonged with you. My anger disappeared in that instant. What remained was sadness. Lauren, you already did. She cried harder. I didn't feel like I did. That is the tragedy. I sat in the chair across from her. You destroyed relationships trying to earn a seat nobody was withholding. You don't know what it feels like to come from people who don't understand the world you want. Maybe not. Everything was small. Their house, their expectations, their lives. They gave you everything they had. I know. Do you? She nodded, sobbing. Now, I hope you keep knowing. Could we postpone instead of cancel? No. Counseling? For you, yes. For us, no. That's cruel. Maybe it feels cruel. You said love wasn't enough. What about forgiveness? Forgiveness is not the same as marriage. That sentence later became more important than I expected. Lauren stayed at a hotel that night. I drove her because I did not want her alone behind the wheel. We barely spoke. At the hotel entrance, she handed me the ring. I don't want this. Okay. Are you going to tell everyone I was a fraud? No. People will ask why the wedding ended. I'll say we discovered things we could not repair. She stared. Why would you protect me? I'm not protecting the lie. I'm refusing to make your worst behavior my entertainment. She cried again. You really are better than me. Don't do that. What? Turn accountability into self-hatred. It's another way to avoid changing. She looked at me like I had slapped her, then nodded. You sound like my therapist. You should call her. I will. I drove home alone. Mom was awake in the kitchen, even though it was almost midnight. She had packed leftovers into containers, because apparently heartbreak does not override food storage. How is she? Terrible. How are you? Also terrible. Mom hugged me. I cried into her shoulder like I was 12. I loved her. I know. Part of me still thinks maybe I'm making a mistake. Maybe you are. I pulled back. That's helpful. You want me to lie? No. Then here. You can love a person and still decide they are not safe to build a life with. Maybe she changes. Maybe someday she becomes exactly the woman you thought she was. That does not mean you have to stand still waiting for it. I sat at the kitchen table. Do you hate her? No. Really? Mom sighed. I am furious. I am heartbroken for Donna. I am angry she lied to you. But hate is a long-term rental, and I'm too old to keep paying. Definitely, Mom. The wedding cancellation was ugly but less dramatic than people imagine. Vendors kept deposits. Guests received emails. Lauren moved her things from my house while I was at Ryan's because both of us agreed it would be easier. She took what was hers. Left Mom's stuffing recipe card on the kitchen counter. That almost broke me more than the ring. Charles and Meredith ended their personal relationship with Lauren, though Charles remained professionally appropriate because he was her boss. Within 2 months, Lauren transferred to her company's Charlotte office. I heard through mutual friends she stepped back from social media almost entirely. Frank and Donna did not magically get their daughter back because the truth had come out. Real life does not work that way. Donna texted me once a week for the first month, not asking about Lauren, asking whether I was okay. I told her she did not owe me that. "You came to our door," she said. "Let me ask if you ate dinner." Mothers apparently form unions. Frank called once. "I'm sorry you lost your wedding. You didn't cause it." "I know." Then after a pause, "Still sorry." I visited them 2 months later. Not because I needed anything, because I wanted to. Donna made too much food. Frank showed me the woodworking shed he had built behind the house. That was when I discovered he was incredible with old furniture. We spent 3 hours restoring a table he had found beside the road. Lauren hated this stuff, he said. Said the house looked like a flea market. No anger, just memory. She has good taste. Expensive taste. We both laughed. Then Frank said, "Don't make her evil." I looked at him. "I'm not." "Good. Why would you care?" "Because she's still my daughter." He sanded the edge of the table. "She did something terrible. Probably many terrible things. That doesn't mean every good thing about her was fake." That was one of the most mature things anyone said throughout the entire mess. I needed it. Because after betrayal, your brain wants simple categories. Everything she said was a lie. Every laugh was performance. Every kiss, manipulation. That is easier than accepting someone can love you and still lie to you in a way that makes loving them unsustainable. Lauren had loved me. I believe that. She had also built our relationship on a false account of who she was and what she had done to the people who loved her before me. Both were true. Christmas came. Frank and Donna spent it at home. My mother invited them. They declined because they did not want to make themselves permanent characters in our family simply because of Lauren. Donna said, "You all need your own holiday." Mom mailed her cookies anyway. In January, Lauren emailed me. Subject line, "No response needed." I almost deleted it unread. Then opened it. She said she had started therapy twice a week. Said her therapist had asked her to list every lie she told specifically to avoid shame. The list was 14 pages. "You were not the only person I lied to," she wrote. "You were just the person whose love made the lie impossible to keep carrying." She admitted she had exaggerated her parents' criticism until eventually she emotionally remembered them as worse than they had been. Not consciously at first. Every time I told someone they were controlling, I had to make the next story slightly worse so the previous one made sense. She said her shame around class had begun in high school when classmates mocked her father's work uniform. In college, she learned to hide details. Changed school mechanic to facilities operations. Grocery pharmacy technician became healthcare. Hickory became outside Charlotte. Miller became Pierce professionally because she thought it sounded more polished. The lies accumulated. Then at her first corporate job, somebody assumed her parents were wealthy because she had attended University of Michigan without debt. She did not correct them. Being mistaken for someone who came from money felt like being invited into a room I had always watched through glass. I understood the feeling even if I hated what she did with it. She wrote about Charles and Meredith. They gave me the kind of social legitimacy I was addicted to. Then about the $60,000. I told myself my parents refusing meant they did not believe in me. The truth is, I wanted them to hurt themselves financially so I would not feel ashamed of them at my wedding. She ended with, "You said the tragedy was that I already belonged with you. You were right. I destroyed something safe because I kept trying to qualify for it." I did not respond for 3 days. Then I wrote one sentence. "I hope you build a life you no longer need to lie to deserve." She replied, "Thank you. No attempt to restart us." That mattered. In March, Donna called me crying. Different cry this time. Lauren called. I stood from my desk. "What happened?" "Nothing." She laughed through tears. "She just called." They spoke 17 minutes. Lauren apologized. Frank did not say much. Donna told me she did not forgive everything in one call. I don't want to make forgiveness another thing she gets instantly because she asks. Good. Boundaries had arrived at their house too. Over the next year, Lauren rebuilt contacts slowly. Monthly calls, then a visit. The first visit lasted 90 minutes, because that was what Frank and Donna agreed to. She came alone, no gifts. Donna later told Mom, not me directly, that Lauren stood in the hallway, looking at her old graduation photograph and cried for 10 minutes. Frank asked whether she wanted it removed. Lauren said no. Progress. Charles and Meredith eventually agreed to meet her for coffee after she wrote them letters apologizing. They did not resume the parent-child relationship. Meredith told her, according to Lauren's later email, "I can care about you without returning to a role you created for me through dishonesty." That was another lesson everybody seemed to be learning in different forms. Forgiveness does not guarantee restoration. My life continued. That surprised me, which sounds stupid, but heartbreak convinces you the story has ended because one chapter became unbearable. Work got busy. Ryan and I opened a small design showroom. Mom finally renovated her own kitchen after refusing for 15 years because Dad had installed the old cabinets. Your father is dead. He can't complain about drawer slides. Progress. Grace made the soccer team. Owen discovered drums, which I considered a family tragedy. Uncle Patrick briefly dated a woman named Cheryl who banned him from bringing hot sauce into restaurants. That relationship did not survive. Ordinary life returned, and ordinary life is how you know healing is real. 1 year after the broken engagement, Thanksgiving came again. Frank and Donna were invited. This time not as victims, not as surprise guests. Friends, they accepted. Mom assigned Donna pie. Frank brought a restored wooden serving board he had made from walnut. Ryan immediately asked whether he would sell him one. Frank said, "No, you people need fewer boards." Charles and Meredith were not there. Lauren was not there. Nobody discussed her for the first hour. Then Donna mentioned she would be visiting the following weekend. The room stayed normal. That was important. Lauren's existence no longer detonated anything. Mom said, "Tell her I hope she's doing well." Donna nodded. "I will. No bitterness. No performance." After dinner, Frank and I sat on the porch with coffee. "She asks about you sometimes," he said. "Okay. I don't tell her much." "You can." He looked at me. "You sure?" "I'm not hiding." "She still loves you." I looked toward the yard. "I still care about her." "Different." "Yeah. She asked me once whether I thought you'd ever take her back." "What did you say?" Frank smiled. "I said that question is none of my business." "Good answer." Then I told her probably not. I laughed. "Less good. I'm still her father." I get one unnecessary opinion. 2 years later, I unexpectedly saw Lauren. Grocery store in Raleigh. Of all places. I was standing near produce comparing avocados as if qualifications were required when I heard, "Ethan?" I turned. She looked different. Hair shorter, less styled. Jeans. Sneakers. No visible designer armor. Still beautiful. My body remembered her before my brain did. "Hi." "Hi." Silence. "How are you?" "Good." "You?" "Better." She smiled nervously. "My parents told me you still see them sometimes." "Yeah." "Thank you." "For what?" "For not disappearing from their lives because of me. They're good people." I know. That sentence carried weight now. She looked at my cart. "You still buy those terrible frozen burritos?" "I'm loyal." That is one word. We laughed. Real laugh. Familiar. Dangerous only if I pretended it meant more. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know you've heard it. I know it doesn't require anything from you. But I'm sorry." "I believe you." Tears filled her eyes. "That actually means a lot." "Good. Are you happy?" I thought about it. "Yeah." "Seeing anyone?" Old Lauren would have asked casually while calculating. This Lauren immediately shook her head. "Sorry, none of my business." "It's okay." "I am." I had been dating a pediatric physical therapist named Hannah for 7 months. Nothing dramatic. She had met Mom. Survived Uncle Patrick. Good signs. Lauren smiled. It hurt her. I could see it. She still smiled. "I'm glad. How about you?" "Not really." Then she laughed. "Apparently my therapist thinks I should know who I am without auditioning for somebody first." Sounds expensive. Very. We stood there another minute. Then Lauren said, "You were right about one thing." "Only one?" Still arrogant. "Good." She smiled. "I belonged before I reinvented myself." My throat tightened. "Yeah. I wish I'd known." "Me too." She hugged me after asking, Can I? Yeah. Brief, warm, goodbye. Then we walked opposite directions. I did not turn around. That evening I told Hannah, not because I needed permission, because I had learned secrecy is where distortion begins. She asked, how did it feel? Sad. Do you want her back? No. Then sad is allowed. Another healthy person saying annoying healthy things. Hannah and I eventually married, smaller wedding, 100 guests. At Mom's church, reception in a renovated textile warehouse we had once worked on. No champagne wall. Uncle Patrick gave a toast 20 minutes longer than approved. Frank and Donna came. I debated inviting them because I worried it might feel strange. Hannah said, they are your friends. Why wouldn't they? That simplicity is one reason I married her. Donna cried during our ceremony. Frank hugged me afterward and whispered, you picked another good one. Another? He looked embarrassed. You know what I mean. I do. Lauren did not attend. We did not invite her. That was not punishment. It was a boundary. She sent a card through her parents. Wishing you both a marriage built entirely in truth. You taught me why that matters. Hannah read it. That's actually nice. Yeah. Do we keep it? Sure. No jealousy. No threat. Healthy relationships can feel suspiciously uncomplicated when you have been trained to equate tension with depth. Years have passed. Frank and Donna reconciled with Lauren to a degree. Not to the old version because there was no old version worth perfectly restoring. They built something new. Lauren visits. She helps Donna with pharmacy appointments now that Donna is older. She and Frank still argue because Frank has discovered that therapy does not make him less stubborn. She uses Miller again privately, though professionally she stayed Pierce because her career was built under the name. Nobody cares. Charles and Meredith remain cordial professional contacts, nothing more. Meredith sends Donna a Christmas card every year, which I find strangely beautiful. Two women who once occupied the same fictional role became friends after the fiction collapsed. Mom still speaks with Donna almost weekly. They compare recipes and complain about their children, which I suspect is why phones were invented. My own marriage to Hannah taught me something I needed desperately. The right person does not need you to perform your family for them. The first time Hannah attended Sunday dinner, Uncle Patrick told an inappropriate story about Dad nearly setting a garage on fire in 1997. I braced for embarrassment out of habit. Hannah laughed until she cried. Later, I apologized. For what? Patrick. He's hilarious. He's a menace. Both. She did not need me less loud, less coal, more polished. She asked Mom for the stuffing recipe without turning it into content. She helped Grace through a bad breakup without posting a quote about chosen family afterward. Ordinary respect. That became luxurious to me. There is one photograph from my wedding I keep framed in my office. Hannah and me in the middle. Mom beside us. Ryan and Melissa. Kids, Uncle Patrick, Frank, and Donna, at the edge because they tried not to impose. Hannah had physically pulled them closer before the photographer took the picture. You're part of why Ethan is Ethan now, she said. Donna cried immediately. Frank complained that everyone cried too much. The photograph matters because nobody in it is there for status. Nobody is pretending to be someone else's parent. Nobody has been cropped out because their clothes are wrong. Nobody is being used to prove anything. They are simply people who showed up. That is the family rule I inherited from Dad and almost forgot while loving Lauren. Showing up matters more than looking right when you arrive. I do not tell this story because Lauren was a monster. She was not. That would be easier. She was a frightened woman who turned shame into architecture. One small lie protected another until eventually she was living inside a mansion of them. She believed she needed wealthier parents to be worthy of wealthy rooms. She believed ordinary origins threatened extraordinary ambitions. She convinced herself that $15,000 offered with love was rejection because $60,000 would have looked better beside the flowers she wanted. She convinced herself that calling her parents abusive was more acceptable than admitting she was embarrassed by them. Then she loved me honestly while lying about the foundation beneath us. That contradiction is the whole tragedy. I loved her too. Loving someone does not make them safe to marry. Forgiving them does not require reopening the engagement. Understanding why they hurt people does not convert the hurt into something acceptable. Self-worth works both directions. Lauren had to learn that she was valuable before she had expensive friends, polished rooms, or a different surname. I had to learn that my worth did not depend on being the understanding man who could absorb any betrayal without changing the relationship. Frank and Donna had to learn that being parents did not require chasing a daughter who kept punishing them for the limits of their bank account. Charles and Meredith had to learn compassion did not obligate them to resume a role created through deception. Every person eventually faced the same question: where does love end and access begin? That is why I no longer think the Thanksgiving reveal was about revenge. Nobody planned to scream. Nobody exposed bank statements. Nobody posted Lauren's lies online. My mother simply opened her door to two people who had been shut outside their daughter's life. And once the right people entered the room, the story could no longer remain arranged the way Lauren needed it. Truth did the rest. And the hardest truth was not that Lauren's parents were alive, it was that they had always been worthy of the chair she refused to give them. Last Thanksgiving, years after everything happened, Frank sent me a photograph. Donna was seated at their kitchen table. Lauren sat beside her rolling pie dough badly while Donna laughed. Frank's caption said, "She still can't bake." I stared at it for a long time and smiled. No dramatic redemption speech. No perfect family reunion. Just a daughter in the kitchen with the mother she once erased, learning something ordinary. That is what real repair usually looks like. Smaller than humiliation, slower than revenge, more repetitive than an apology. I showed Hannah the picture. She said, "Good for them," then asked me to take the trash out. Marriage. So here is the question I would ask anyone listening, because people divide hard on this one. If you discovered weeks before your wedding that your fiancé had falsely called her loving working-class parents abusive and pretended they were dead because she was ashamed they could not afford the lifestyle she wanted then, watched her sincerely apologize, and spend years changing, would you believe love deserves a second chance? Or would you forgive her and still walk away? Because once someone can erase the people who raised them to protect an image, you can never be completely sure you will not be erased someday too.